When I first start working with my money coaching clients, I set the expectation that the first month of our budgeting and tracking together is more about mindfulness than control. I'm not focused on how well they control their spending right off the bat. I'm more focused on how mindful and intentional they are. Are they aware of what they're doing with their money, or is it mindless behavior? Before any positive change can happen, awareness is the first step. You cannot fix a problem you don't know exists. In this episode, I'm sharing 7 ways to be more mindful with your money. Build that awareness of your money habits, patterns, and decisions. Then make changes where you see fit. So you've probably gathered this by now, but being more mindful with your money can help you make intentional financial choices that align with your overall values and goals. And the first way to be more mindful with your money is to get a financial game plan in place, aka a budget. It's hard to be mindful when we don't know what's happening, and a budget is a guide to what should be happening with your money. With a budget, you allocate your income to your bills, your expenses, and your spending. And once you do that, you can ask yourself some pretty important questions like, does your total monthly income cover everything? If so, then you know you have the ability to make progress in your situation, and now you can move forward accordingly. If your total monthly income does not cover your monthly expenses and spending, then you need to find additional means of income. And while that may not be a fun fact to realize, at least now you know that you either are behind or close to falling behind every month. And when you know that information, you can make a change. So with this budget, you'll have a better idea of what your next steps are. And you can work to keep your spending in line with the budget, or you can work to make more money to ensure that you can actually follow an effective budget. I want to quickly plug that I create budget plans for clients. So if the thought of creating your own budget, which basically allocates your income to your bills, expenses, and spending, is too daunting or too overwhelming, or you've tried it before and it just hasn't worked, let me create a budget plan for you. My budget plans are incredibly realistic because, as you know, I don't think any budget should withhold the fun. But not only that, my budget plans will tell you exactly what should be happening with your money every month. And as long as you actually stick to the budget, you will see results that you are after. You can visit the City Girl Savings website, citygirlsavings.com, and just click Start Your Budget to get started. I will also link to that in the show notes. Now, moving on to the next way to be more mindful with your money is to track your spending. I feel like you probably knew this was coming. I've talked about tracking your spending before, and if we are being honest with each other, tracking your spending is one of the best ways to make sure your budget is actually working. And since being mindful is all about awareness, one of the best ways to actually be aware of what's happening with your money is by tracking your spending. It is not enough to create the budget. Yes, that is the first step, right? Because the budget is essentially the guide or the map for your money, but we need to make sure that you're sticking to the guide, that you're sticking to the map. And the only way to do that is to track your spending. Not only that, but by tracking your spending, you develop a deeper connection with your money. It becomes less about managing random transactions and more about consciously making choices that reflect your goals, values, and future desires. When you track your spending, you get a clear picture of your financial habits. You can see exactly how much you're spending in various budget categories. Things like groceries, entertainment, dining out, personal care, grooming. This awareness helps you recognize areas where you may be overspending, or maybe you can cut back, and that's what's going to help you make more conscious decisions with your money. So again, it's not enough to just create the budget. We have to close that loop, track our spending, and make sure the budget is actually working or that we're actually sticking to the budget. I do want to add that tracking your spending, yes, will bring to light any overspending you're doing, but it will also bring to light if your budget is realistic. I mean, if you give yourself $100 a month for groceries, and after you track your spending, you realize you spend $250 a month, $100 a month for groceries is probably not realistic. Unless you can say for certain that you're buying things you don't need at the grocery store, you can use this information to make tweaks, right? Maybe you increase your grocery spending to $175 a month, and in doing so, you decrease another area that really is not a necessity. So tracking your spending is one of the best ways to just be more mindful with your money and make better decisions with it. The next way you can be more mindful with money is to set clear goals for your money. I know I've talked about goals plenty of times on the podcast. I'm a huge advocate for setting goals. I've been setting goals for years and years and years, and I have zero doubt that it's helped contribute to the success I've seen over the course of my life. If you do not set goals, I challenge you to change that, to start setting goals for yourself. It will make a difference. But since we are talking about setting money goals, I want you to understand that when you set financial goals, you are basically helping to increase your mindfulness around money, because now you have driving factors, and achieving your goals is the driving factor. So whatever goal you set, that is motivation to work towards achieving the goal. And just so you know, financial goals really serve as a roadmap for what you want your money to look like in the future, and it also serves as a roadmap for the decisions you make with your money in the present. Without goals, your financial decisions may feel aimless or like they're leading you to reactive spending instead of proactive money management. And with clear money goals, whether that's saving for a house, building an emergency fund, paying off debt, you now have a target to work towards, and that helps guide your spending and saving habits. And not only that, with clear money goals that actually mean something to you, it's so much easier to prioritize where your income is allocated. So, for example, if your goal is to save for a vacation to the Caribbean, you're more likely to cut back on any unnecessary spending to ensure that you can put money towards that goal of going to the Caribbean. So it's important to understand that financial goals really act as like this filter that helps you make more mindful and intentional choices that align with your objectives, which is basically your goals being achieved. Now, it can be very easy to want to achieve all the things, right? It can be so easy to set 5 or 6 or 10 or 12 different money goals. And while I applaud and commend your commitment, I do want you to take a step back and realize that we only have so many resources when it comes to our income, right? We only have so much that we can dedicate to our goals while still making sure that we have, food on the table and a roof over our heads. So it is okay to focus on 1 to 2 goals for your money at a time. In fact, I recommend it. When you're saving for multiple goals at the same time, you're really spreading your resources or your income a little thin. Now, this does not necessarily apply to everyone. I mean, some people do really well with putting a flame under their rear ends. So if they have multiple goals that they're working towards and, that drives them, they may seek out more money to help them reach their goals faster. So it does make sense to understand your personality, but I will say the sweet spot when it comes to money goals is focusing on 1 to 2 at a time. The next way to be more mindful with your money is to practice gratitude for the money you currently have. And I know I sound like a broken record because I've talked about gratitude plenty of times on this podcast, but it's so important. When you practice gratitude for your current financial situation, you are acknowledging what is going right. And that means There's awareness there. That's awareness right there. And practicing gratitude helps you be more mindful of your money by shifting your focus from what you don't have to what you do have. And I truly believe that this helps to create this deeper sense of contentment and appreciation, and it helps reduce the impulse we all get to spend our money on things we don't need. Not only that, practicing gratitude makes you more aware of how you spend your money. It encourages you to reflect on the things that you're truly thankful for in your life, which often include experiences or meaningful things rather than just material possessions. And this shift in focus helps you make purchasing decisions that are based on true values that you have rather than surface level impulse wants. I mean, think about it. How many times have you impulsively purchased something only to feel guilty about it, return it, or never even think of that item again? Gratitude can help you be more mindful about your money and just life in general. So if you want to be more mindful with money, I want you to appreciate and practice gratitude for where you currently are in your finances. Take some time to think about how far you've come. I mean, think about the last year, 2 years, 5 years. How has your financial situation changed for the better? Whatever the answer is, even if it's just a little bit of improvement or growth, that is something worth being grateful for. And speaking of values, the next way to be more mindful with your money is to identify your values and identify the things that truly matter to you. So make sure that you take some time to recognize and acknowledge what matters most to you. What do you value? Identifying those things will help you make more intentional money decisions. You won't spend or do things with your money that don't align with those values. And even if you don't have values set, you can potentially create a free-for-all environment for spending. So if you think that not setting values is not impacting your finances, it definitely is. When you don't value anything, you go search for something that brings you value, right? And that often means spending money to figure out what you like or what you value. And that can be a costly mistake. So I really want you to take some time to think about what matters most to you. And once you do, it'll help you align your spending decisions to those values. Identifying your values allows you to prioritize your spending based on what's most important to you. So maybe you struggle with knowing your values. So I want to give you an example. If you value health or physical fitness, you might prioritize spending your money on nutritious food, gym memberships, or wellness activities. If you value travel and experiences, you may allocate more funds toward experiences that enrich your life rather than material possessions. So get clear on the things that you value, and when you do, you'll be able to align your spending to those values, and that will ensure that your money is supporting what brings you true fulfillment. And I think ultimately, this is what being mindful with money is truly all about. To give you a few more examples of values that people can have and values that they can align their spending to, some examples include family, relationships, friendships, professional endeavors, freedom, time freedom, location freedom, working for yourself. So again, it's really important to get clear on the things that matter most to you, and then just make sure your spending is in line with those things that you value. Now, the next way to be more mindful with your money is to practice self-accountability. Being able to hold yourself accountable, or to put yourself in positions where you are being held accountable, like working with a coach, for example, is critical for financial success. Being held accountable, whether you're holding yourself accountable or someone else is holding you accountable, makes you aware of your financial decisions. And awareness is mindfulness. Being mindful with your money involves taking ownership of your choices, which can help reduce the tendency to rationalize or justify bad spending behavior and poor financial decisions. For example, when you're mindful of your money, it's harder to justify an impulse buy or overspending because you've already thought about whether it fits within your goals. And this process helps you avoid making excuses for not sticking to your budget or your financial plan, and it ultimately fosters greater accountability. So, being mindful with your money helps you develop that discipline you need to resist those short-term temptations for the sake of your long-term goals. And by being mindful, you create a habit of constantly checking in with yourself before making purchases. And this allows you to assess whether the purchase even aligns with your overall values or not. So, accountability is truly critical for financial success, but it does not have to be self-accountability. It could be, again, working with a coach or having an accountability partner that holds you to your actions. So understand that increased self-awareness strengthens your ability to say no to non-essential spending and purchases, and that ability to say no will get easier over time, and that will help you maintain control over your finances and just stay accountable to your budget, your coach, your savings plan, or just yourself. The final way I want to share you can be more mindful with your money is consume with caution. Being mindful with your money means you are always aware of what you're consuming, content-wise and spending-wise. So instead of focusing on accumulating more, I want you to shift your mindset to consuming thoughtfully. Choose quality over quantity and spend your money on things that truly contribute to your happiness or well-being for the long term. So, for example, you might prioritize investing in durable, sustainable products rather than constantly buying cheaper disposable items. And if you are interested in sustainability, I definitely want you to check out City Girl Savings Podcast, episode 151, Money and Sustainable Living with Kara Perez. Kara comes on the show and shares simple ways to start consuming in a more sustainable way. Definitely worth a listen. But in addition to consuming better things with how you spend your money, you can consume better things for your mind. Mindfulness isn't just in money. It should be in our own lives as well. I want you to consume content, read books, listen to podcasts or audiobooks, watch videos that are designed to help you become a more mindful individual. The book that I listened to that completely changed the game for me and really did help contribute to me becoming more mindful and more self-aware was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Totally changed my world. I will link to that book in the show notes, but The Power of Now really puts a different perspective in your mind and really opens your eyes to what's possible in terms of self-awareness and mindfulness. So highly recommend it. Some other ways that you can become more mindful include meditating regularly, journaling your thoughts and feelings, and ultimately just focusing on being present in the moment. Mindfulness is in our personal lives, it's in our financial lives, it is impactful in every area of our lives, really. So, and it can have tremendous impacts, especially on our money. So it's very important to be a mindful person, not just with your money, but in general. And I want to quickly go back to focusing on being present in the moment, which can help you be more mindful. This is something I used to struggle with. I used to be the type of person who, when I was, hanging out with friends or just out doing something, I'd be thinking about other things I should be doing. I should be working. I should be getting groceries. I should be doing laundry. I should be doing this or that. I was so focused on what I wasn't doing that I wasn't present in the moment, and I didn't have as good of a time as I could have. Now, I'm very proud to say that I pride myself on being present, like with whatever I'm doing. So if I'm out with my girlfriends, I'm not looking at my phone. Like, I may miss calls. I have no idea because I'm just present in the moment. And it really makes for much better experiences overall. So there you have it. 7 ways to be more mindful and intentional with the money you do have. You do not have to implement everything all at once, but hopefully you can take 1 or 2 of the points I've shared today and start implementing right away.